So the national parks take up more than 85 million acres worth of land. That's about 3 times the size of New York State, or a little less than the size of Montana. So it's a pretty big chunk of change. Greetings! Welcome to Board Game Science. I'm Dr. Poythress, a biology professor at Houghton University, here with my stout and trusty assistant, Nathaniel, and I'm here to talk to you today about this wonderful game, Parks, created by Keymaster Games, designed by Henry Audubon, released in 2019 for 1 to 5 players. So this is kind of a unique game in the sense that many games are designed around a theme or a mechanic or a story that someone wants to tell. This game started with what's called the 59 Parks print series. And it's a series of pictures done by more than 35 different artists about the national parks. And so the 59 Parks print series approached Keymaster Games about, hey, can we make a game that kind of highlights this particular print series? And so they hired, in turn, Henry Audubon to design the game. And so the first thing was the art. Let's find a way to make the game highlight the art. And so he had to first figure out, how is the game going to be played? And so when he finally decided to kind of make it revolve around the hiking aspect, a lot of the other kind of parts and pieces and mechanics fell into place. But the game is really an art-first game. And so the whole point of the game is to make you enjoy and appreciate the 59 Parks print series. In fact, Keymaster Games actually donates money to the National Park Service for every copy of the game that is sold as well. So before we get into kind of the realism and some of the science of it, let's take a look really quickly at how the game is played. All right, so the game is played over a series of seasons, 4 seasons, so it covers essentially the length of a year. And the gameplay itself is pretty straightforward, but there's actually a lot of other kinds of tactical things going on here. So I'll try to keep it fairly simple here. And so I will have omitted some details, but those can be found in the instruction manual. I've kind of set up the game here for a 2-player game. Over the course of a season, each player has 2 hikers who progress along a trail from the start of the trail to the end of the trail. And then once everybody has reached the end of the trail, the season ends and we move to the next season and so forth for 4 different seasons. What's really interesting about this game is that, unlike other kinds of games where movement is dictated by a dice roll or a card or something like that, you can move however you want to move, essentially, and as much as you want to move. So in this case, this list player, let's say that they get to go first. They've got the first player token up here, the purple one. So let's say they want to go first. They could move to any of these squares on the whole trail. So they could jump all the way to the end, right off the bat, or they can go right here. Anywhere they want to go is fine. But obviously, if you jump all the way to the end, then you have missed all these other kinds of things here along the way. And so as the players go, once they kind of get going, they take turns. You cannot go in the same place as another player. So for example, on this turn, if it were purple player's turn, this hiker could go here, here, or here. This hiker could go here, here, or here as well. So you have to kind of figure out where are you moving and what are you blocking, or what can you have access to or not have access to. There is one exception. Once per season, you can use what's called your campfire. So you have a lit campfire, and if you flip it over, then the campfire is out. And that allows you to go on another square with another token. So if you were to use that, then this character could go here, here, or here. So as you move down the trail, you move to these different sites, and each of these sites provides you with a different benefit. So I've got this set up here. The first time someone hits a site, if there's a token on it, you collect that token as well. And you also get the bonus that's shown here on the bottom of the card. In this case, it would be 2 more kind of water tokens. Now, if this were to move on and someone else were to come in here, this initial water token is now gone, but they would still get these 2 water tokens here. So that provides some incentive for people to want to be first to a space, because you get that extra resource for the very first person who gets there. But at the same time, you want to be moving fairly slowly so that you can get as many of these benefits along the way as you can. There's a couple of extra things you can do along the way. One of the key things here is the canteen and the pictures. So each player starts with a canteen card. So this player here has got this canteen card. And so at any point during a season, when you acquire a water token, you can fill your canteen and you get the benefit on the bottom of the card there. So if you land here, you can actually acquire another canteen card if you would like. You can also take a picture if you land here. So that's what this little camera icon here is denoting. And so this 2 here means you pay 2 resources. So you could either use the water or the sun, and there are other kinds of resources as well. There's a forest resource and a mountain resource as well. There are wild resources, which are wild animals. They're different kinds of animals. The production quality on this is really, really high. So you can pay 2 resources to take a picture, and if you do that, then you actually gain a little picture icon with a real picture. And each of these different picture icons is a different, unique picture. So you could pay 2 to gain that. Or if you already have the camera tile, then you get a discounted rate. So you only have to pay 1 resource in order to claim that camera icon. If you go here and you pay the 2, then you can actually take the camera icon, the camera tile, from whoever had it. And then from then on for you get to take discounted pictures, including at the end of the round, you have the opportunity to take an additional picture at that discounted rate, but only if you have the camera tile. So you move along, you get to the end of the round, and then the really interesting stuff sort of happens. The whole point of this is you have gone through your trail and you hope that you have acquired enough in terms of resources to visit one of these national parks, which is what the game is named after, is the parks. So each of these parks has a visit cost. So this one here, for example, you'd have to pay a little tree icon plus 2 sun icons, and you could acquire this card at the end of the round as a kind of memento of the fact that you have visited this particular park. It will score you then 2 points at the end of the game. So you'll notice that this one here scores 2 points and only requires 3 different kind of resources to visit it, whereas something like Virgin Islands National Park, in this case, much higher cost, but also a larger point value too at the end of the game. So at the end of the round, you can do that. You can either pay when your character reaches the end of the trail, you have to place them on one of these 3 spaces. So if you place them here, that means you plan on paying for one of these parks up here. If you place it here, you can reserve a park. So that basically means no one else can take it from you, but you have not yet visited it, you haven't yet paid for it. You also get the first player icon. The first token to move to this particular space gets the first player icon to start the next round. Your third option is the gear spot here. So in this particular instance then, it allows you to pay for one of these gear cards down here, which give you bonuses and discounts and things and help you out along the way. Kind of like hiking gear. It's supposed to make your hiking experience a little bit easier. Each season has a different kind of bonus to it as the seasons go by. So you'll flip these cards and each season has a different bonus. And each player has an end of game bonus as well that they're looking at and trying to acquire as well. And as the seasons go by, you actually add in some additional tiles to make the trail a little bit longer with some different additional abilities. But that's the general gist of the whole thing. You're basically moving along, kind of traveling along your trail, hiking in order to acquire different kinds of visits to different national parks. And you can see here, as I mentioned, the art is the kind of the star of the show with this. The art cards themselves are the biggest cards on the board in the play space, and they really show off the print series, the 59 Parks print series, as part of that. And so that's a significant part of this and the whole enjoyment of the thing. It's supposed to be a fairly relaxed I do feel, even though there's a competitive aspect to it in terms of trying to acquire the most points, it's not really a race. And so there is a sense in which people are kind of just moving along and enjoying the experience of hiking, which is kind of what a hike should be in this instance. So that's how the game is played, roughly speaking. So now let's take a second and talk about some of the reality and some of the science of it. As I said before, because this is an art-first project, the point is not to be super realistic, but it does actually highlight a couple of things that I think are on point and are really good about it. So the point is to talk about the national parks. And so the national parks were kind of founded at first on August 15th of 1916 by President Woodrow Wilson, who signed a law to kind of bring the National Park Service into existence. There's about 20,000 or so employees working at 429 units, of which about 60 of those units, a little more than 60, are what we would call the national parks. So the national parks take up more than 85 million acres worth of land. So that's about 3 times the size of New York State, or little less than the size of Montana. So it's a pretty big chunk of change. So it's a really extensive network of land. The biggest national park is Wrangell St. Elias Park in Alaska, which is 13.2 million acres. So it's a big chunk of land, and they're spread throughout the entire United States. So the most popular national park is actually the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. And so you get to learn a little bit about the parks too, some of the reality of the parks from playing the game. So each of the different cards here, with each one is a different park, and it's got the art from the 59 Parks print series. But at the bottom of each card, there's actually a little factoid about the particular park, when it was established, where it is in the United States. And so if you look at those, you can actually learn a little bit about these along the way, which is pretty cool. And so I think it does give you a good sense of that. You can see which of them you visited, which ones you haven't, which ones you want to go to, and everything like that. So, well, what did you say? What's your favorite national park? Oh, of course, Death Valley National Park. Yeah. Oh, is it just because parts of Star Wars Episode 4 were filmed there to represent Tatooine? No. Oh, it's just because it's got the death in the name. Yeah, okay, got it. Yeah, thanks, Indiana. Appreciate that little insight. There's some cool things about the national parks. This is a great benefit to it, and I think you can learn some really nice things about it, and kind of a relaxing experience, even though there's that mildly competitive aspect. So I do recommend this game. It's a fun game. It's got some really interesting educational pieces to it as well. So hopefully you enjoy it as well and enjoy this video, and look forward to sharing some more games with you soon.